Elias is an old man. He lives alone in a small house by a dry sea. Every morning, he folds one paper boat and puts it on the sand. There is no water, only hot wind and dry earth. His boats never sail. He has waited for 50 years. He is still waiting. When Elias was a boy, the sea was big and blue. It came to his door. He learned to fish with his father. He was very happy. Every night, his mother made a paper boat. She put it in the water. It was a prayer for sailors far away from home. Then the sea began to go away. Less water each year. First the crabs left. Then the fish left. Then the neighbors left. One by one, families packed their things and left. But Elias stayed. He loved the sea. He could not leave it. On the last day of water, Elias stood alone on the rocks. He watched the blue sea turn into dust. His heart broke. His mother once told him, "The sea always remembers its home. One day, it will return again." Elias never forgot those words. He carried them deep inside his heart through many lonely years. Year after year, Elias lived alone beside the empty shore. Every day he folded paper boats with careful hands. Village children laughed at him and called him the old ghost who waited for dead water. The children often dared each other to run past Elias's house at night. But one brave little girl stopped one afternoon. She was only 7 years old, and she wanted to know why he waited there. "Why do you make paper boats every day?" the little girl asked softly. Elias smiled for the first time in many years. His old face warmed with happiness, and suddenly he did not feel so lonely anymore. Elias knelt beside the little girl on the dry sand. He whispered, "Someone must help the water remember the way home. That is why I still make paper boats every single day." That evening, the little girl returned carrying one small paper boat in her hands. Then she brought another one. Soon she made 10 colorful boats because she wanted to help Elias call back the water. A few days later, more children joined them near the dry shore. 20 children came first, then 30 more. They laughed together while folding paper boats, even though they did not fully understand the reason. For the first time in many years, Elias laughed loudly with joy. His laughter filled the empty shore with warmth and life. Together, the children and Elias folded hundreds and hundreds of colorful paper boats. There were blue boats, red boats, yellow boats, and bright white boats. The children lined them carefully across the dry shore. From far away, the paper boats looked like a tiny sleeping army near the sand. One night, Elias had a beautiful dream. He saw his mother standing peacefully on shining blue water. She smiled kindly at him and pointed toward the eastern sky. Then she slowly disappeared into the light. 3 days after the dream, dark clouds filled the sky. Heavy rain suddenly began to fall across the dry land. The storm continued for 7 long days and nights without stopping even for one moment. The empty rivers slowly filled with flowing water again. The hard, cracked earth turned soft with wet mud. Water reached places that had been dry for many long years, bringing fresh life back to the land. On the morning after the storm ended, Elias walked slowly outside his house. Then he heard a sound he had not heard for 50 years. Soft waves were moving gently across the wet shore again. The old sea never fully returned to the village, but the great storm created a beautiful new lake beside the shore. Floating peacefully across the shining water were thousands of colorful paper boats. The boats moved slowly under the soft golden morning light. Elias sat quietly on the wet sand and watched them with tears in his eyes. His paper was finally gone, but he no longer needed more. The little girl sat beside Elias and looked at the shining water. "What do we do now?" she asked with a smile. Elias looked at the lake warmly and replied, "Now we teach you how to swim."